Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to be talking about flexible expenditures. So we're still working with our line item budget, and we have already covered the incoming for last month. And then yesterday we talked about expenditures and those fixed obligations. Once again, those fixed obligations are things you have to pay each month but are dictated to you. What your mortgage is, what your medical insurance is, if you have a student loan, auto insurance, all of these things must be paid monthly, and you really don't have too much control over what they are each month. Like we talked about yesterday, you can make some changes, but for the most part, they're set in stone. Where you can change monthly is within your flexible expenditures. So these are things you still have to spend money on. You need them to live, but you have way more control on how much you spend. So, first in flexible expenditures is food. Now, this food is not the same as dining out. Dining out is considered a discretionary expenditure, meaning you can live without it. You can survive without going out to dinner. All of these things in this box are things that you can live without. We're going to go back to flexible expenditures. So food. So this means your supermarket shopping. Or or if you go to Virtuo's, if you go to a produce junction, if you go to a farmer's market, things like that, they are places where you are buying food that you are preparing at home for the most part. So you are going to take all of those things on your budget. Let's pop over to the budget, or the bank statement, sorry. And you are going to look for all the things that are supermarket. So Acme Supermarket here. You are going to ignore right now Trano Pizza because that is dining out. So, well, you know what? Let me do this. So you're going to ignore this one right now. Working your way down, you will see here Acme Supermarket again. McDonald's, ignore. Wawa, ignore. They're considered dining out. And you're going to work your way down, find anything that's Acme Supermarket, or if there's another market in there, you will add them up. Now, I do want to bring your attention to, where is it? There we go. Reading Terminal Market. Now, it has the word market in it. But if you've ever been to Reading Terminal Market, and if you look at, it seems like they went to the Philly Car Show, they took Patco over, and they ate their dinner at the Reading Terminal Market, which means that they were dining out. So this is no for supermarket shopping. This is considered dining out. So you are going to go and you are going to add up all of your supermarket and place that there. I'm not doing the math for you today. All right. Then we're going to go over here and continue. Clothing. So this is anytime they went shopping for clothing. So you should know all of the stores that are clothing stores in there. And you're going to add them all up. So you have, let's see. You have H&M. I like to color code mine. It just makes things a little easier for me to see. But you have H&M, you have Old Navy, you have Macy's. All of these would go under clothing. Do note, we already made a note of the Nordstrom's card payment. Nordstrom's is a clothing store, and you probably bought clothing with it, but since it was on a credit card, we placed it under credit card. So don't count that twice. Don't count that as clothing. You're going to go back and you are going to fill in all clothing expenses in that line. Laundry. So laundry could be if you have to go to the laundromat, if you go to the dry cleaners, and there is a dry cleaning fee on their bank statement, you will place that there. Then we're going into transportation. So for transportation, we already accounted for our auto payment, our car payment. We also accounted for our auto insurance. This is additional things that you need for your car. So that would be anytime you stop for gas, or anytime you need an oil change or a new tire, any sort of maintenance. If you do 3-month maintenance on your car, all of that. You're going to add all of that up for the Smith family and place it here. Public transportation. Anytime you take public transportation, Patco, the bus, a train, you're going to add up all of those costs and place it here. Because this is a requirement if you have to drive to work or go places for life. Any sort of transportation that you need would go in here because it is a life requirement. Then we get into household operating expenses. So these are all the things you need to run a house. We talked about before, oftentimes people will say, 25% of my income means that I can spend $2,000 on rent because that's what I have, that's 25% of my income. When in reality, you have all these other things that will happen that you need to pay for. So you need to make sure your rent is lower than that 25% to stay within the suggested range. So for this particular breakdown, they have gas and oil and electric separated. But where we live, and that may be true if you move out of this area, but where we live, we have PSE&G, which stands for Public Service Electric and Gas. So our electric and gas are together. So you will just place the total payment on one of those lines, and you can keep the other one blank. Now, if you really wanted to maintain and see where you are spending your money, if you're using too much electricity or too much gas, if you want to break it down, PSE&G does do that for you in your statement. So you could, in theory, track your electric and your gas separately. But for our purposes, we're going to just put one total. Phone and internet. Now, I realized that I forgot to put something for phone and internet. So do not worry about it for this particular setup. But when shopping for, a home or rent, please consider that phone / internet can cost upwards. A phone bill can be upwards of $100 a month. That's your cell phone. And the internet can be upwards of $150 a month. You most likely have TV and internet together. So that's where this would fall. And I apologize that I had missed that when I redid the bank statement. So for this case, you do not need to worry about it. But just remember, when shopping around and looking, that is something you need to consider: your phone bill and your internet TV bill. Repairs and maintenance. This is any home repairs that have been made. So this would be plumbing repairs, hint, hint. It could also be if you get new windows, etc. Anything that is aiding in maintenance or repairs within your home. And then home improvement. So you're going to say, why is that different? So repairs are more of like an emergency thing. If you need a plumber because your toilet broke, or if you need an electrician because your electricity is not working correctly, window, if you broke a window and need to replace it, that is considered repairs and maintenance. Home improvements are things you do in your home to make the value of the home more. So let's say you renovate a kitchen, new kitchen. If you take down a wall that's not required to happen, but you do it to increase the value of your home, that would go here. So I want you to fill in all of this area, and other would be any additional home operating expenses. Now, in your bank statement, I'll point this out for you. In your bank statement, you will see that they did spend money on their home at IKEA, and they also made a purchase for house items on Amazon. Now, we are not sure what they purchased, so we don't know if it was a requirement, if they had to purchase something from these two places that was required for their home for them to live. We're going to assume, in our case, that these were purchases they just made because they wanted to buy stuff for their house. So this would be a discretionary. Discretionary fund, or expenses, I should say. Okay, discretionary expense. So we would not include them in other. So do not include them. So for other, in our cases, would remain blank. We are going to stop there. I want you to add up all your clothing expenses and place it in the block. Laundry, all your gas and auto maintenance. If there was public transportation used, your PSE&G. Don't worry about phone and internet. Any repairs that were made, and then if any home improvements were made, as well as adding up your supermarket expenses. Remember, not eating and dining out. Your supermarket expenses will go here. You're going to add those up. Once you've added those up, you're going to submit that portion to me. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.